What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. That's the one, the only Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, happy Thursday, dude. I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, where are we at right now?
Yeah, it feels weird. I feel like we had an extra long weekend, but that's not the case.
Nope.
Well, this week's just burning by, but that's how it is.
It's flying, absolutely. Everybody can check us out flying over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG at 11 a.m. Eastern every day, Monday to Friday, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, information arises from a former IGN employee about the future of Bloodborne 2. Techland looks to their future with Dying Light 2 with possible user-created content, and rumors continue about a possible sale of Ubisoft. Oh man, well,
I have a few thoughts on these. This will be fun.
Yeah, me too. I definitely have a few. But first, Scott, go over right now to InsideTheGame.ca or ITG Reviews and check out our Trek to Yomai review, as well as we had the privilege to review episode 7 of Halo, Scott. Thanks to our friends over at Xbox Plus. So make sure you swing by those, support us. We could use that. Please help and check out our content because, dude, those were fun. Those were a ton of fun to do.
Oh yeah, I have Trek of Yomi open up on my Xbox right now.
Nice. There you go. That's okay. So I had it downloaded because it's now on Game Pass. I downloaded it like 5 days ago, so it was already pre-installed. I was just like, okay, drop date, let's go. So yeah, I'll be jumping on it later today, man. I cannot wait. After coming off of Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like, I need something else in that realm, right? Like, give me.
It has that style to it.
Oh, it's so cool. Yo, you can play, just a little inside information if anybody didn't realize this, you can play Ghost of Tsushima in black and white, just like Trek of Yomai.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I've seen a lot of people kind of complaining about the black and white of Trek of Yomi, and I don't agree. I
no,
like the black and white. It's for creative purposes.
I think so, right? I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. I'm so pumped. I cannot wait to get into that game. Yo, what is up, your Doom guide? What's happening, Nate? Good job on your review, man. Shout out to you. So there you go.
I haven't seen the edit yet, but I trust you.
Yeah, no, good job. Scott, you sucked. All right, let's move on. Let's go. All right, PlayStation Insider teases Bloodborne news. Come Tyler Fisher over at comicbook.com. Bloodborne is a prime example of what PlayStation undeniably did throughout the entire PS4 generation, which was to deliver some of the best games of the generation. The PS4 had a wide range of great exclusives and console exclusives, but not many better than Bloodborne. Dude, I don't know about that statement. That's a pretty bold statement.
Well, if you like FromSoft games, then you agree. But
absolutely. I think that's where it kind of rolls into, right? I'm obviously not a FromSoft player, we'll call it, which was developed by the increasingly prolific and widely known From Software, the developer behind Elden Ring. Never heard of it, Scott. There has been some rumblings of Bloodborne 2 for a couple of years, but nothing has come of these rumblings. There has also been rumblings of the 2015 game coming to PC and or PS5. But again, so far, nothing has been confirmed as of right now. That said, it looks like Bloodborne fans shouldn't give up hope yet. During Sacred Symbols, episode 200, PlayStation Insider and former IGN journalist Colin Moriarty, dude, it's been a long time since I've heard that name, made a big claim when Bloodborne came up during the show dedicated to ranking the 25 best PS4 games. More specifically, Moriarty teased, quote, "You haven't seen the last of Bloodborne, I'll tell you that," end quote, end quote. Dude, I guarantee he's got some inside information going on there. Here's the question though, Scott. Is it Bloodborne 2 or is it really just Bloodborne making its way over to PC and PS5? And okay, here's my thoughts. This is my particular thought. I honestly think it's Bloodborne coming to PC and PS5, and that's what Bluepoint is working on. Because we all know right now, From Software is not working on Bloodborne 2 because they're too busy with Elden Ring.
Yeah, they're likely making a whole lot of Elden Ring DLC expansion kind of things. I think that makes a lot of sense. If it were to go to PC, a lot of fans have been clamoring for that. That's basically anytime I see Bloodborne or any FromSoft game come up, people are just questioning, when is Bloodborne coming to PC?
Dude, it's really creepy. I'd rather play Elden Ring
I've
myself.
I've played a bunch of it, but I got stuck just after Father Gascoigne, and oh, it's just so hard.
I think my prediction is, he said Bloodborne. He didn't say anything about Bloodborne 2. He said Bloodborne,
Mhm.
right? So I'm thinking it is more likely a a PS5 and a PC port moving over, and that's probably what Bluepoint has been working on over the last little while. They haven't declared what they've been working on. They just said something, and I was just like, man, I want them to. At this point, I'd like to see Bluepoint just make their own game, right? PlayStation
I'd
now
be
owns them
really
completely.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see what else they create, right? Obviously, they're known as the remake studio. Dude, they did Demon Souls. So it kind of lines up that they'd also do Bloodborne as well. Like, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's somebody that I would trust with that IP for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But okay, if you, man, like they just
I haven't heard a single bad thing about Demon Souls, both versions of it.
Yeah, the remake, right? Yeah. No, Blue Point is always on fire with whatever they remake and create, but just let them tell their own story. What do you think they would actually make, though? That's the big question. When you fall into this kind of this trap of remaking, it's almost it's funny because we talked about yesterday with Ubisoft remaking Prince of Persia, and then that sounds like that got pulled back over to Ubisoft Montreal, and they'd have to now fix what Poon and Mumbai have been working on over there with Ubisoft. So it's not as easy as we all think it is. It's not just putting like another reskin of paint on it. When Blue Point remade Demon Souls, dude, didn't they? I believe. Again, don't quote me because I haven't played either of the games, but I'm almost positive that they added stuff to the game, right? Like they enhanced it. They stepped everything up a little bit further than just a new coat of paint per se.
I'm not so certain if there was expansions or anything that they would have packaged in with it, but that would be my first guess.
Just subtle changes, right? It's not necessarily like let's take let's go with GTA as an example, okay? If they take GTA 5 and then they bring over GTA 5 to next gen, I was hoping that they would have tweaked the gameplay mechanic a little bit to feel more like Red Dead, right? A little more smoother. So I'm kind of thinking that's what they did here.
Seemingly what they did is they dialed up the frames per second and slapped a full price on it.
Absolutely, because that's all we're playing right now. It's just like, man, here we go again. I bought it again. I'm like, you guys, no more. I'm done.
Red Dead Online, can we get that remastered, please?
We don't need it remastered. We just need something to do in that world right now. All right, before I get all fired up, Scott, let's move into the world of Dying Light 2 Studios exploring the possibility of adding user-created content to the game. This is
more content.
Awesome. Well, because there's enough to do in it already.
I think there was 500 hours. I think they said initially. Holy, that's a lot.
This comes from Michael over at PSU. Speaking during an interview with the Loadout, Timon, the lead designer on Dying Light 2, has revealed that developer Techland is looking at the possibility of implementing user-created content into the sequel. Dude, yeah, when you talk about 500 hours worth of content already within a game, do you need more content? But while nothing has been set in stone, Timon made it clear that user-created content is, quote, one of the directions we are looking at, end quote, when asked about the featured being included in Dying Light 2. That is our direction of thinking. We want to invite the community more into creating, making, or tweaking the content we already have in the game. When presented with examples of player-created content, including parkour, races, and combat challenges, he added that these ideas were close to the studio's line of thinking in regards to what Dying Light 2 could add. Timon went on to say that Techland will, quote, try different types of experiences to make sure everyone finds something for themselves, end quote. Dude, I always like bringing over user-created content. It allows us as the gamers to get involved just that little step further than just, okay, I beat the game and now I'm out. Now, granted, 500 hours is going to take you an awful long time to beat everything, but it's still,
you
right?
may be done with it after that point, but along the way, being able to do races and stuff. Because I was thinking, okay, well, what kind of tools do they have at their advantage to use?
Yeah.
And to make any sort of content? What does that mean? What would that look like? But
sure,
is it just icons, cosmetics? No. Doing races, that's actually a really good, interesting idea. And it reminds me of Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I believe there was a mode, there was some sort of thing that would happen where if I run through a certain race, or if I start and end a really good line, you could come across that later on. It would be a little icon, and you could race my ghost. And
Nice.
that was really interesting because it kept the life of that game going and going. But that was a significantly shorter game.
Yeah. What was that, like 8 hours? 10 hours tops?
I think it may have been around 8. Yeah.
Dude, that's
Now,
the
I'm
old
the
school, right?
completionist, though, so I went through the whole thing. No, this was the sequel I'm speaking of.
Yeah, but what I mean was, like, that was the back in the day circumstances of how you played a game. You would play for 8-10 hours and call it a day. Now moving into like this latest generation of gaming, the end I would say like the end of PS4, the Xbox One, into the next generation of consoles, everything now is, well, unfortunately, good or bad, it's switched to more of a live service experience.
Live service,
and wants to keep going, right?
I'm not a fan so far, but I'm really hoping.
Nobody wants to let go of their community, and I don't blame them. You want to be able to stick around for years and years to come, and that's why I think you saw Dying Light 1 so heavily invested in with more and more content. But if you can then allow the users to get in there with their own ideas and keep that content coming, then you get in the realm of, okay, it's got to be curated somehow, right? Like, I always go to Trials. Dude, Trials from Ubisoft is one of my favorite games of all time, and they always have user created tracks, so you can go in there and you can race against other people. They do have the ghost mechanic in there as well that allows you to go, but you can go in and you can tweak and create your own.
Does that play out a lot like Mario Maker, where people just make the most impossible races to do?
Okay, well, so dude,
it forces you to complete it yourself once, I think twice.
Yes.
In the case of Mario Maker, to succeed. But if I design the trap, that's kind of easy to do.
Maybe, but dude, Trials has the extreme, right? I can never do the extreme. I'll go to hard.
Actually, those are way too hard.
Dude, it's like a ninja experience, right? Like, you're flipping your bike, you're cooking your back tire, and then you're flipping yourself over top and around. And there's just like, how do you guys do this? You're balancing on the front tire and then flipping over.
Can you believe people do that in real life?
No.
They really do. There's something called a German jumping bike, and I've been fascinated with them for a decade.
Man, it is cool. I love Trials. It's been a while since I've played it, but it's one of my go-to games. It's one of those ones I go back to and go, oh yeah, there it is. I'm in there for like an hour or two, and then I'll bounce and go on to whatever's next or whatever we're reviewing or whatever, right? But it's, man, Trials is just, what a cool game. Shout out to Ubisoft. And let's get this going into the next one, because Ubisoft could reportedly look to a private equity firm to acquire it. What the? This comes from David over at PSU. Studio acquisitions are the big talk of the gaming industry in any year, but this year more than most. Yeah, that's for sure. In those talks, Ubisoft has been named as a publisher that could be acquired somewhere down the road, and that it still might happen, just not how you'd think.
You know, this is funny because they mentioned they have a price just weeks ago now.
That's so weird, eh? According to a new report from Seeking Alpha, the developer could look to a private equity firm to acquire it as a means of avoiding any kind of hostile takeover. Dude, it's just... we'll get to it. Hang on one second. It's a move that would keep Yves Guillemot, chief executive officer and one of the founders of Ubisoft, in power. The Guillemot family owns 15.9% of the company's shares and 22.3% of the net voting shares, and according to the same report, is also not inclined to agree to any sale to another buyer. The family wants to keep control of the company. Recently, Ubisoft has been embroiled in as many troubles as Activision Blizzard, with employees voicing their frustrations with their alleged toxic environment throughout the company. Many have called Yves Guillemot to resign, though it seems clear he has no intention to do so. All right, Scott, let me hear. What do you got for this one?
I don't know if anybody's dug into the allegations as of yet.
I've heard some.
I've heard of a little bit of it, but it's not as official or legal from what I've seen.
Nothing like Activision, right? Like, nothing to that extreme, but it has had some extreme measures.
Parallels. They're drawing parallels to that, but I don't know if it's quite that crazy. And I don't want to speak on that aspect too much until we know more. But when it comes to selling the company, it's just kind of funny how they've talked about, well, it would require so many billions, but we don't want to sell. And now it looks like they've taken that line of thinking a little bit further. Well, how do we avoid a hostile takeover? How do we keep Mr. Elon out of our company? And it's an interesting strategy that they're working on getting another company to buy them up first. I'm not quite sure I understand how that works financially.
Yeah, this is a weird thing for me because, dude, they fought with Vivendi to get out of that agreement, right? Out of that and have full control over their studio.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about selling once more. Are they just seeing everybody getting bought up and like, hey, we want a piece of this too? But yeah, and if you are Yves Guillemot right now and you are 20, if you own 15% of the shares, dude, you sell your shares, that's retirement money. Like, man, you're out, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
what are you doing? I would, at that point, to me, it's like, if you're this close and you're already thinking about selling because everybody else in the market right now is getting purchased, and we talked about who would really afford to buy Ubisoft, right? You are now looking at a private firm coming in maybe to take that opportunity away because Microsoft is too heavily invested right now trying to figure out everything with Activision Blizzard that they can't take on another studio, especially the size of Ubisoft, because it just wouldn't fly, right? And I don't see PlayStation sweeping in either to take up Ubisoft just because they don't have the backing and the financial backing to be able to do that. They've got themselves invested in enough studios around the world that they're trying to build what they're already building. And I think what they're doing is really, really well, and it's going well for them. And for them to come in and buy up Ubisoft, it just doesn't financially meet their demands or their means because they don't have it, right? They don't have the money that Microsoft is pulling in. So it's not just Xbox. When you think Xbox, you just think Xbox, but a lot of people forget it's not just Xbox, right? It's Microsoft as well. So
well, that's something that I think about with Sony in quite the same way, because Sony Entertainment is much bigger than just PlayStation.
That's fair. No, absolutely is fair, but they still don't have the money that Microsoft pulls in, right? That's the biggest thing.
Well, what is it? 30 different locations, 30 different studios under the Ubisoft banner. It would be the giant purchase of the century, I think. But
right,
I'm thinking Yves Guillemot and family, they reportedly want to keep it internal, keep control of it, and
yeah,
I wonder if that's just a bit of a vanity thing. You know, it's a bit of a dynasty. They want to hand it down, and there's nothing wrong with that. This maybe explains some of the motivation.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking today, like I've known quite a few people who have recently left Ubisoft, and I'm like, did they see the writing on the wall? Had they seen something kind of coming down the pipeline? Perhaps they're like, I don't want any part of this, and bailed out. But I spoke to them personally, and they said, no, it's just there's time for a change, and they moved on. But it might be time for a change because you see other opportunities that are coming in the world of what Ubisoft is kind of setting up. Maybe you're just not all that thrilled by it, right? So I don't know. Ubisoft, definitely one of the biggest publishers and developers around. We'll see what happens in the future of them. Scott, dude, let's talk about some PSVR 2 stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about the news of this one. Medieval Dynasty making its way to PSVR 2.
Yeah, that's cool.
We spent some time on Medieval Dynasty. Can you imagine that in PSVR?
I'm excited
by the thought.
Yeah, I absolutely can. So let's get into this. This is from Michael over at PSU. According to an interview with RenderCube and Spectacular Games, Medieval Dynasty and the survival title that is currently available for the PC is going to be released on the PSVR 2 at some point down the line. The Polish interview with both companies revealed that Medieval Dynasty is the first to be imported to MetaQuest 2, but PSVR 2 is also in the pipeline. Apparently, work is already progressing on this, and with the team already having reached out one of 4 key production milestones on the project. Dude, this is cool. For those who didn't know, Medieval Dynasty is a first-person survival game set in medieval times, where you build your own city, right? Like you literally build the houses around you and start forging your village into something bigger.
Yeah, no, it really struck me because it has that city builder plus survival thing going on. I was really excited by it. And the idea of that in VR just blows my mind. That's going back to an ancient time.
I love it, eh? It's very cool. So to see that make it over to VR is, I think it makes sense. You're already playing it in first person. They did actually add not too long ago third person perspective, so that changed up the formula a little bit, but you have the opportunity to switch back and forth. So yeah, dude, this game keeps plugging away, and I'm pretty excited to see where it goes. And how's the movement go, man? The movement right in VR, it always throws me off, Scott.
Yeah, well, a lot of VR games do have that seated option as well, and that might take a little bit out of it. But then again, if you're like me and you're seated but you're walking in the game,
sure,
ooh, that's where it gets me.
Dude, we have Why'd you do this to me? We have an announcement. Scott, what do you have?
I spotted this one and I knew you'd be super excited about it. Crystal Dynamics has added a new Hulk skin to Marvel's Avengers. It is called the Hulk Monster Heart.
It makes me want to flip my table.
Means, but
I just want to Hulk smash this whole game to pieces. Dude, at this point, all Crystal is doing is pumping out one skin after another. That marketplace is absolutely huge, and there's no content in the game that's new, fresh, or exciting. It's just irritating because day after day is another skin. Here.
How many downloads do you think they're getting out of these new skins and stuff? It must
I don't imagine much.
In some capacity, but
maybe you got. Dude,
I think it'd be quite interesting if you're the guy.
I wonder if that's the only thing that's keeping the game alive, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of wondering. So here, right now I'm on Twitch. They have almost 300,000 followers, but they only have 71 viewers right now.
71.
Dude, that's it. 71 viewers. Nobody's playing this game, but yet we got one skin after another each and every day. That's just like, who's still playing this thing? I'm not playing it. Steve mentioned, hey, do we want to jump back in? I'm like, no. I don't, because there's nothing to play.
You have a flat answer for him. No.
It blows my mind. I just like, who's playing?
How do you save that game if you were, though? Do you put another character in it, but make a DLC for it? Because you try and capture War of Wakanda again, but you can't obviously do the same thing.
No, War of Wakanda was great, but then you played that, and then that was it. It just dried up. There's nothing left to do, right? And Crystal is fantastic at a single player experience, but how do you keep the community going in a live service game? We talked about this a lot within our internals at ITG. We talk about it on the shows. We talk about it. Dude, we just did a segment not too long ago about it, right? Like, the live service game community is starving for content. The minute you drop it, we're already done. So they just didn't have the content to keep it going, and that's the problem. But they have one of the biggest IPs in the entire world at their disposal, right? Like, I don't know what the internals are right now going on over there, and now, especially now that they just went over to the Embracer Group, I don't know, right? Like, you know what I mean? I wonder where the future lies now with
because they're in the Embracer Group. They can't exactly just pump out more Marvel things because they need Marvel's approval on whatever they add. I think just adds a little bit more red tape. Yeah. And it's unfortunate in this case because, there's 1,000 Marvel characters. It can't be like that hard to reach into a barrel and pull out something, Dude,
you can put all the Marvel characters up on a wall, take a dart and go, okay, we're going with that one, right? Like, let's make a storyline for that and keep it going. But no, every day, instead, what we get is just another skin. I'm like, I can't be bothered to play it.
I want an X-Men game like that.
Dude, why isn't X-Men in this? It's Marvel's, right? Like, it's Marvel's Avengers, but you can start tying in some of the biggest X-Men characters around. Professor X would be pretty cool. Wolverine is an easy one to go to.
You could even put the B team in there. Get Cable and the guy who shoots
so many things.
There's endless pool.
All right, now I'm fired up. Scott, what do we have out today?
We have Overcooked, the all-you-can-eat edition on Stadia. We have Trek to Yomai, which I'm trying hard not to really love on that game too much, but it's on PC, Xbox One, X, PS4, and PS5. There's Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate Daemon Hunters on PC. That's a bit of a turn-based one. And Citizen Sleeper makes its debut on Mac, PC, Switch, Xbox One, and Series X. Yeah, Mac is... Well, it's right up there with Linux. And then Best Month Ever on PC, PS4, Switch, and the Xbox One.
There we go. And then everybody, don't forget to go check out our review of Trek to Yomai and episode 7 of Halo. It's very cool. And that, Scott, will wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. As always, you can join us live 11 a.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Let us know about your thoughts on Halo over the official ITG on Twitter as well. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.